silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into Snake Eater. What a fear in my heart. Snake Eater. But you're so supreme. On a tree frond, it's ordeal, the trial to survive. For the day we see new life, I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Cry, it's the way I'd like to you. I'm still in a dream, Snake Eater. I'm still in a dream, Snake Eater. Snake Eater, Snake Eater, Snake Eater.
Currently flying over the Arctic Ocean, altitude 30,000 feet, approaching Soviet airspace. Arriving at the designated drone launch point. Drone oil pressure and voltage are nominal. Payload oxygen supply is nominal. Power supply to payload antifreeze system shows no problems. No gusts. All systems go for drone detachment.
Snake, we can't risk a halo jump this time around. Airspace security has gotten tighter since we were last here. We can't get as close to the ground as we did during the Virtuous mission. So instead, we'll be using one of our newest weapons. Snake, you're being given an honor on par with Alan Shepard. This is our last chance. Show your patriotism. If you fail, you'll be back in a hospital bed again, waiting for the firing squad.
So how does it feel to be a patient in one of the most advanced ICUs in the world?
Would you do me a favor and tell the suits about visiting hours? I'll never get better with them assaulting me day and night with their questions.
Must be part of the top brass's inquiry.
More like an interrogation. According to them, I'm a traitor and an accomplice to the boss's defection.
They're just looking for a scapegoat.
Does that mean they're after you too?
Let's just say neither one of us is going to be made a national hero out of this.
Does this mean Fox is going to die?
No. This fox is still one step ahead of the hounds. The reason I came to see you today, Jack, it's time for Fox to clear its name.
What are you talking about?
The situation has changed. We've still got a chance to come out of this one alive.
Yeah, what kind of chance?
Don't get too excited. Here, have a cigar. It's Cuban. This morning, I had a meeting with the CIA.
They decided when they're going to execute us?
No. Something even bigger. Yesterday, the White House received an unexpected call.
President Johnson?
Yes, I hear you, Mr. Chairman.
It was a hotline call from Khrushchev to President Johnson.
From the head of the Soviet Union?
That's right.
A few days ago, one of our country's main design bureaus, OKB 754, was destroyed in a nuclear explosion. At about the same time, our anti-aircraft radar picked up a signature that appeared to come from one of your military aircraft. Does any of this sound familiar to you? In retaliation, I have placed our armed forces on secondary alert. Depending on your response, I may be left with no choice but to order the military to maximum alert and unleash Armageddon. With the help of your predecessor, I was able to survive the Cuban incident. But my power is not as great as it once was. If I am to survive this crisis, I must have your full cooperation.
I should have contacted you myself. Did you know that one of our soldiers defected to your country a week ago?
No.
So you haven't heard then. The man who arranged the defection was a GRU colonel by the name of Yevgeny Borosovich Volgin.
Volgin, of the Brezhnev faction. Go on. Who is the soldier?
Her name is the Boss. She's a living legend. During World War II, she was the one who led us to victory in that war. In Russia, you know her as Voyevoda.
You mean the boss? The mother of your special forces?
Yes, that's the one. And she took 2 miniature nuclear shells along with her.
The boss took 2 miniature nuclear shells.
I'm afraid so. I believe they were a gift for her new hosts. The Davy Crockett Atomic Battle Group delivery system was completed 2 years ago. But serious problems were found with the launcher's range and precision. Although they were mass-produced, they've never been deployed in battle.
But Sokolov's research facility was completely wiped out. The whole area is polluted.
I can only offer you my deepest condolences over this terrible tragedy.
So, the boss, with Colonel Volgin's help, stole 2 experimental nuclear shells and took them with her as gift when she defected. Then, shortly thereafter, Sokolov's design lab, a top-secret military research facility, was destroyed by one of these weapons. Am I right so far?
Yes, that's correct.
And the American government denies any involvement in the affair. Is that right as well?
That's correct. We were not involved in any way.
Then what was a U.S. military aircraft doing on our radar screen? It was clearly in violation of our airspace. And yet you say it was not acting under your orders.
That's correct.
You expect me to believe that this was all the work of a single soldier?
I don't know what else to tell you.
The army insists that this is all a ploy on your part.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. Our government had nothing to do with it.
And I would like dearly to believe you. However, I'm afraid my power over the military has weakened since the Cuban incident. I will need some kind of proof that this was not the action of the American government. You have 1 week. You must catch the boss yourselves and recover the remaining nuclear device. Then, you must find some way to prove your innocence.
Prove our innocence.
Yes, preferably something painful. Prove to me that this is not merely another one of your tricks.
The boss should be close to Colonel Volgin. How about a little co-action?
I would not expect too much if I were you. The political situation here is unstable. And Colonel Volkin is a member of the Brezhnev faction, which seeks to topple my government. 1 week. You have only 1 week. And if it is not too much to ask, do something about Volkin as well.
What is that supposed to mean?
Nothing. It means nothing. Call it a modest gentleman's agreement to ensure our continued relationship.
What if we can't prove our innocence?
Then I will be unable to restrain the military. I will be ousted, and they will seek their revenge.
A nuclear attack on the United States?
I leave the disposal of this situation entirely to your discretion, Mr. President.
Disposal, huh?
If you fail, it will mean the beginning of a new world war.
To put it simply, in order to avoid a full-scale nuclear conflict, we have to prove that America was not involved in that explosion.
And eliminating the boss ourselves will prove America's innocence?
Right. The higher-ups have decided that you're the only one capable of pulling this off. You were her last apprentice. Screw this one up, and we'll both be 6 feet under. There's no choice.
Are the Russians going to be helping us?
The KGB has promised to lend us one of their communications satellites so that you and I can talk to each other.
That's it?
They've also put us in touch with a couple of insiders.
Insiders?
There was a defection in September 1960. Do you remember it?
You mean the 2 NSA codebreakers who went over to the Soviet Union?
Precisely. Since then, they've apparently been training with the KGB for exactly this kind of situation. Their code names are Adam and Eva. I've been told that Adam has infiltrated Volkin's ranks. We've also arranged for him to provide you with an escape route. You'll need to rendezvous with him when you get there.
Control. Unidentified aircraft detected. Altitude 30,000 feet. It's fast. Estimated airspeed exceeding Mach 3. Bearing south. I'm about to lose it.
This is Snake. Do you read me?
Loud and clear. Glad to see you landed safely.
I got blown pretty far off target.
Snake, let's go over your mission objectives one more time. Rescue Sokolov. Find out what's happened to the Shagohod, then destroy it. And finally, eliminate the boss.
Eliminate the boss.
This mission will be codenamed Operation Snake Eater.
Because I'll be taking on the boss in our Cobra unit, right?
Don't forget about Colonel Volkin.
I'm not a hired killer.
I know, but that was the Kremlin's demand.
Demand? You mean it wasn't just a request? What's it to us if the Khrushchev regime is threatened by the Colonel and his faction?
If supporting the current regime helps us avoid a nuclear exchange, then that's what we'll do.
And what are the CIA's demands?
Our priorities are the rescue of Sokolov and the destruction of the Shagohod.
Roger that, Major Tom.
Hold on, Snake.
What now?
I'm changing my codename. It turns out Tom wasn't the most auspicious choice.
What do you mean?
Well, the truth is, when I chose my codename, I picked the wrong one.
The wrong one?
Did you ever see the movie The Great Escape? It came out last year.
Oh, must have missed that one.
Anyway, it's based on a true story about prisoners who escaped from a POW camp in Nazi Germany. The prisoners dig 3 tunnels as part of their plan, but the Nazis find 2 of the tunnels before they're finished. The prisoners succeed in escaping by using the last remaining tunnel. The names of those 3 tunnels were Dick, Harry, and Tom.
I get it. You used the name of the tunnel they escaped in as your code name because you thought it would bring you good luck.
Yes, that's exactly right. At least, that was the plan.
But
But I got the name wrong. The one they escaped in was Harry. Tom was one of the unlucky tunnels. It was discovered by the Nazis before it was finished. I watched the movie again just to make sure. In fact, I even ordered the actual film from the movie company.
yeah, it doesn't sound like the greatest name to use. So what should I call you?
You know, let's just use Zero, like we've been doing all along.
All right then. Major Zero it is. We'll start over from square one.
From square 0. My frequency is 140.85. Oh, I almost forgot. Paramedic is with us again on this mission.
Is this her last chance too?
If we fail, she'll have her medical license revoked. It's more or less the same kind of fate. Her frequency is the same as during the Virtuous mission, 145.73. She'll be recording your mission data as well, just like the last time. That frequency is also the same, 140.96. And there's one more person on your support team. His name is Mr. Sigint. He's an expert on the latest in weapons and equipment technology. You'll be going up against some of the world's most advanced weaponry when you infiltrate the research facility. If you have any questions, just ask him. His frequency is 148.41.
Mr. Sigint. Got it.
Adam, your KGB contact, is waiting for you at the abandoned factory up ahead.
The same factory Sokolov was being held in last week.
Yes, meet up with Adam first. He's cleared the way for you to rescue Sokolov.
How'll I know this Adam guy when I see him?
You'll know once you reach the factory. The whole area's been polluted by the fallout from that nuclear blast. No one else would dare come close. The password is, "Who are the Patriots?" and Lali Lulelo.
Lali Lulelo. Gotcha.
You've been equipped with a 45 for this mission. Be careful, it's noisy.
I thought standard Fox procedure was procure on-site weapons acquisition.
The circumstances are different this time. You're now on an official mission for the United States government. It would be necessary to make your presence known to a certain extent, to the Khrushchev regime at the very least. But remember, this is still a sneaking mission. Snake, if you fail this mission, it will mean an all-out nuclear war. Keep that in mind and proceed with extreme caution.
Understood. Commencing Operation Snake Eater.
Snake, your first task is to meet up with Adam, the contact provided by the KGB. The rendezvous point is the abandoned factory to the north of your current position. Head north.
The abandoned factory. That's where I met Sokolov during the Virtuous mission.
Correct, but we can't afford to have the same thing happen this time.
I know.
Like the Virtuous mission, Operation Snake Eater is a solo sneaking mission. There are no units in the field to back you up. Avoid engaging the enemy whenever possible. Your first priority is to remain unseen. Use the camouflage option in the survival viewer and choose your camouflage wisely. Proceed with caution. Unlike the Virtuous mission, this is a night operation. You'll get lost more easily in the dark, but it'll also make your camouflage more effective and make it harder for the enemy to see you. On the other hand, it will also be more difficult for you to see them. You'll also find that different animals are active. Some of these nocturnal animals are poisonous, so stay alert. paramedic is with us again to provide information on the local plants and animals. Give her a call if there's anything you need to know. Operation Snake Eater is different from the Virtuous mission in that you won't be able to complete it in just a few hours. The time limit set by Khrushchev is 1 week. Within that time, you'll have to rescue Sokolov, defeat Volgin, destroy the Shagohod, and...
I know.
Good. In any event, you'll not be allowed to return until you've accomplished your objectives. Survival in the field will be critical in this mission, and the most important survival technique of all is, of course, finding food. You can get food in the same way you did during the Virtuous mission, by capturing it. The enemy presence in that area is still light. You should try and get as much food as possible while you can. Thanks to last week's nuclear incident, the Soviet Union is now on secondary alert. We're one step away from a nuclear war.
DEFCON 2, huh?
In American parlance, yes. From what Western intelligence has been able to gather, the radical elements in the Soviet command are showing signs of impatience. They say we're on the brink of World War III here. And with Khrushchev's position getting weaker every day, I worry whether he'll be able to hold them back.
1 week.
Yes. America must eliminate the boss by its own hand to prove its innocence. There is no other way to resolve the crisis. Everything rests on your shoulders, Snake. Failure is not an option.
I know. Major, what should I do with this wreck of a drone?
Just leave it there.
Are you sure?
Yes.
But isn't this thing top secret?
Yes, it is. After the U-2 spy plane incident 4 years ago, plans were laid out for future spy missions in Soviet airspace to be carried out by an unmanned craft. That craft was the D-21 spy drone, the basis of the one you came in on. The D-21 is launched from a craft called the M-21. The M-21 itself is a derivative of the A-12, a supersonic long-range spy plane currently being developed as the successor to the U-2. However, for this mission, we used a modified YF-12A, a long-range interceptor version of the A-12. After being released from the mothership, the drone can achieve speeds upwards of Mach 3 at high altitude using its ramjet engine. It can't be shot down by ground-to-air missiles, and it's nearly undetectable by radar. With Selinoyarsk in such a high state of alert after our last escapade, this was the only reliable way to get you in.
This is all top-secret military technology. Are you telling me I'm supposed to just leave it here?
That's right.
Why?
The purpose of Operation Snake Eater is to send an American agent into the field in order to eliminate a defector and traitor, namely the boss. Part of that mission involves making sure the Soviets find out what we're doing.
So we have to leave behind some kind of evidence that the U.S. was involved.
Don't worry. The technologically sensitive components of the craft were rigged to self-destruct when it landed. The only thing the Soviets are going to find is a pile of American-made scrap metal.
Got it. Just one thing, though.
What is it?
I think they'd better redesign the landing impact buffer. People are going to get hurt landing that thing.
I'll let them know.
Major, I appreciate you allowing me to use weapons, but shouldn't I be carrying some rubles?
You mean fake currency?
Right.
Snake, do you remember the Francis Gary Powers incident back in 1960?
Powers was flying a U-2 on a spy mission for the CIA in Soviet airspace. He was shot down and taken prisoner.
His confession brought to light the fact that the CIA was spying in Soviet airspace. As a result, the US-Soviet summit scheduled for 2 weeks later was cancelled.
Yeah, I remember.
U-2 pilots are required to carry items that mask their identity. Powers was carrying ruble, mark and lira coins, as well as French gold coins. He was also carrying 2 gold watches and 7 women's rings. All of these objects were meant to conceal his national origins. But for this mission, we've got to demonstrate to the Khrushchev regime that America is involved. There's no need to conceal your origins. And besides, all you need to do is complete your mission. As long as you're not captured or killed, the details will take care of themselves.
Okay.
The Soviet intelligence community must be up in arms about the boss's defection. The great Voyevoda has abandoned America and embraced the Soviet Union.
Voyevoda?
Apparently, that's what they call the boss behind the Iron Curtain. It means warrior or mighty soldier in Russian. When used to refer to a woman, it means something close to Lady Knight. In Russia, where they've had a number of female emperors throughout their history, it's a term of great respect. Well, poetic in a way. The boss's exploits have made her name famous in the East as well.
Major, why did the boss defect?
I don't know, but I will tell you this. America is all too eager to get rid of her.
What do you mean?
She knows too many of our secrets. If she were to relay all the top-secret information she knows to the Soviet bloc, it would put us at a severe disadvantage. It might even lead to the downfall of the West. Even if we survive, the boss is still too much of a hero to us. With her in the Soviet camp, we'd suffer a fatal loss of morale at home. There are even whispers that some of the less stalwart elements of the military might follow her example and defect themselves. I assume you're aware that since your last mission, several key figures within the CIA have been placed under house arrest.
Yeah.
The loss of the boss has been a painful one indeed.
What about you?
Me? I still can't believe it. As a comrade, I would have placed my trust in her before my own family. But now that I think about it, the boss always seemed to have an aura of mystery about her. I never would have expected it to manifest in this way, though. Oh, well, it won't do to get all misty-eyed about it. She's an enemy now, worthy of nothing more than our contempt.
Understood. Major,
Yes?
I was just wondering, why do they call you Zero?
What do you mean?
We go back a long ways, but I just realized I never asked you why you're called Zero.
You want to know where it comes from?
Yeah, if that's all right.
It's a bit nostalgic, really.
Nostalgic?
The first British intelligence outfit was established in 1909. The head of the Foreign Intelligence Division was a man named Mansfield George Smith Cumming. He was referred to simply as C after the first letter of his last name. Since then, out of respect for Cumming, the heads of the SIS have traditionally taken the name of C.
And James Bond's boss is called M.
That's right. I myself was once known as O.
And that's where Zero comes from?
Precisely. In another sense, though, it signifies a ghost, one whose true identity must remain a mystery, the primogenitor of the solo sneaking operation.
Is that so? Major, tell me a little bit more about the space race.
In 1957, the Soviet Union succeeded in launching their first artificial satellite, Sputnik, into orbit. Having been beaten to the chase by the Soviets, the US government accelerated its own space program in an effort to catch up. The following year, the space development programs of the various service branches were united to form the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA. That same year, the Mercury program was launched with the goal of putting a man into space. 7 candidates were chosen from the military as the first astronauts. These were the men with the right stuff. But as you know, it was a Soviet cosmonaut, Yuri Gagarin, who made the first successful manned spaceflight 3 years ago. NASA's first successful ballistic flight came 1 month after Gagarin's mission, with the Freedom 7 carrying Alan Shepard into space. After that, with America still lagging behind the Soviets in orbital flight, President Kennedy made a momentous decision. That America would put a man on the moon before the end of the decade.
Yeah, I heard that speech, but a lot of guys I knew weren't real happy about it. They said no one was going to make them go on a mission to blow up some damn moon base.
But rocket research and missile research are closely related. Imagine, if you will, a Soviet Union able to send wave after wave of nuclear missiles raining down on Washington from a base on the surface of the moon. Even if that's still a long way from reality, if we lose the initiative, we may never get it back. We're left with no choice but to keep moving forward 1 step at a time. The Gemini program, launched 2 years ago, represents the initial step towards establishing a moon base. And yet, I don't want to call President Kennedy a liar, but I simply can't imagine that in 6 years man will have reached the moon.
I don't know. I never even thought we'd make it up into space. I guess it all depends on whether you have the will to make it happen.
Perhaps you're right. Snake, let's go over the controls for CQC one more time. Press the CQC button once to throw a punch. Press it repeatedly to launch a combo attack. CQC doesn't really start to shine, however, until you grab an enemy. Press and hold the CQC button to extend your right hand and grab the enemy. Move the left stick at the same time, and you can knock the enemy to the ground.
Yo! You're Snake, aren't you?
And you're Sigint?
None other.
I heard that you're an expert on weapons, equipment, and cutting-edge technology.
Close.
Huh?
I am the expert on weapons, equipment, and cutting-edge technology.
Ah.
I'm the guy that designed your trank gun, active sonar, and motion detector. If you want to know anything about weapons or equipment you find in the field, just send me a message and ask. Later. Sounds like the Cobra unit's members' names came from the specific emotions they each carry into battle.
Emotions?
Yeah. For unbearable torment, the pain. For true oblivion, the end. For infinite rage, the fury. For absolute terror, the fear. And for unsurpassed bliss, the joy.
The joy?
It's another name for the boss, because of the joy she feels in battle, I suppose.
Ah.
During the war, she had a partner named the Sorrow. Sorrow and joy. They say there couldn't have been a more perfect pair. The Davy Crockett's that the boss took with her when she defected are mortars that fire nuclear warheads. They're named after Davy Crockett, the hero who died defending the Alamo in the Texan War of Independence.
Remember the Alamo.
That's right. The warheads are equivalent to between 10 and 20 tons of TNT. Every building within 150 yards of the hypocenter is completely obliterated. But the warheads the boss had with her were some kind of experimental super bomb, so they're actually even more powerful than that. I don't even want to think about what would happen if she used it again. Snake, you know what you have to do.
Yeah, I know.
You mean you're not wearing any face paint? You can take off your face paint by selecting No Paint from Face. Just select No Paint when you want to skip wearing any face paint at all. But your camo index is never going to be as high without face paint as it is with it. Unless you want the enemy to see you, you ought to be wearing face paint. I heard you fought against KGB troops in the Virtuous mission, but this time you're up against Spetsnaz. Spetsnaz is the Special Forces unit of GRU, the intelligence wing of the Soviet Defense Ministry's General Staff Office. Spetsnaz troops undergo rigorous training in all types of special ops, from assassination and demolition to intelligence gathering. That and Volgan's loaded, man. His unit is one of the best equipped in the entire Soviet Union, if not the best. I heard the enemies you encountered in the Virtuous mission were only carrying weapons like AKs and grenades. Well, it ain't that simple anymore. In addition to AKs, some of the patrols you'll encounter might be equipped with Scorpion submachine guns and shotguns. The Scorpion is even lighter than the AK, making it much easier to handle. Basically, a guy with a Scorpion is not gonna miss you as often as with an AK. The shotgun is a powerful weapon. One blast is enough to floor you and you're likely to be seriously wounded. Watch for that, man. Keep in mind that every weapon and piece of equipment weighs something. The heavier the equipment you're lugging around, the faster you'll burn up stamina. You can see how much your equipment weighs by going into the backpack screen in the survival viewer. If you're trying to conserve your stamina, make some cuts and toss the equipment you don't need in your backpack. Whenever you find a new weapon or piece of equipment, the first thing you do is drop it in your backpack, right? But you can't use your new goodies if they're just sitting in your backpack. Patterned clothing, face paint, tactical movements. These are the elements of camouflage that will allow you to deceive your enemy. Whenever you find a new... You're wearing...
Snake, that's the home to the Ottenfrog. The Ottenfrog is a large, corpulent species of frog. They're known as a delicacy, so it might be worth catching them for food. The Otten frog was originally found only on Amami Oshima in Japan. Frogs usually have 4 toes on their front legs, but the Otten frog is unique in that it has 5.
Got it. By the way, you said they were known as a delicacy, right?
Right.
So that means they must taste pretty good, huh?
I guess so. I hear that in Japan, Otten frog sashimi and sukiyaki are popular dishes.
Really?
Yeah.
Japan, huh? That place is starting to sound better and better.
Snake, that area is inhabited by the Japanese flying squirrel. Japanese flying squirrels are non-venomous, and they shouldn't attack you. The head, front legs, hind legs, and tail of the Japanese flying squirrel are connected by a membrane of skin, which allows the squirrel to glide from tree to tree. It says here that if it catches a good wind, it can fly more than 100 yards.
Sounds like it's going to be tough to catch one.
So, aren't you going to ask me?
You know it. How does it taste?
Not sure.
Not sure.
The guy doesn't say anything about it.
Why not?
Gee, maybe it's because no one would ever think of eating a flying squirrel.
Then I must be the first one.
Maybe you are. You should be able to find Russian oyster mushrooms in that area. The Russian oyster mushroom is an edible variety that belongs to the shimeji family. It's known to be particularly rich in vitamin B1 and niacin. Apparently, it's usually found growing on tree stumps and hollow logs, so look there if you want to eat some. There should be a mushroom called the Baikal scaly-tooth growing in that area. The Baikal scaly-tooth mushroom is used as an antidote to poison. It usually grows on the trunks of trees, so look for it there.
How does it taste?
I think you're going to be disappointed.
Damn.
Oh, quit your whining. You know what they say, good medicine tastes bitter. You'll find a fruit called the Yabloko Moloko growing in that area.
Yablo what now?
Yabloko Moloko. It's a Russian name that roughly translates as milk apple. It's a type of star apple. The juice is thick and sweet, like milk, hence the name. And if you cut one in half lengthwise, you'll see a star-shaped ring radiating out from the center.
Hence the star apple.
Right. The star-shaped part has a gelatinous texture and is said to be especially tasty.
Sounds useful.
You're welcome.
For once.
Did you say something?
No, back to the mission.
You can capture animals alive by using the tranquilizer gun or a mousetrap. There should be an herb called Chinese plantain growing in that area. The Chinese plantain is an herb that resembles a plantain root. The leaves and seeds contain large amounts of aucubin, choline, and tannin. When you mash it up and apply it to a wound, it helps stop the flow of blood and eases the pain a bit. The Chinese plantain becomes a styptic when you pick it up. If you see one, don't forget to take it with you. Snake, I think there's a plant called Slav horehound growing in that area. Slav horehound is an herb in the horehound family. It contains large amounts of diterpene, flavonoids, and alkaloids, which give it strong germicidal properties. If you find one, it should make a good disinfectant. You should be able to find Ezocomfrey in that area. Ezocomfrey is a plant in the comfrey family that's found only in Selinoyarsk. If you find one, you can use it as a cast to treat broken bones.
How can a plant be turned into a splint?
The roots of the Ezocomfrey are extremely sticky. You can use them as a kind of plaster cast to fasten the affected area in place.
I get it.
Treating serious wounds will require you to use additional medical items besides your knife and cigar. That's why it's always a good idea to carry as many medical items with you as possible. If you start to run out of medical items, find some more as soon as you can. The enemy should be carrying medical supplies as well. You can get them by holding up enemy soldiers and shaking down their bodies. There's an herb called the Amur kudzu growing in that area. Amur kudzu is a member of the bean family and a close relative of the kudzu weed. The roots contain a number of isoflavones such as daidzein, which give it strong fever-reducing properties. It'll make a good cold medicine if you find some. That area is home to the reticulated python. The reticulated python is said to be the longest snake in the world. It's not venomous, but it still poses a threat, so watch out. Snake, be careful when you approach the enemy. The closer you are to them, the more accurate their shots will be, and the more damage their weapons will do. That means you've got a greater chance of getting seriously wounded. Some types of food spoil faster than others. To eat food, press the Start button to enter the survival viewer, then select Food. You should be able to find Siberian inkcap mushrooms growing in that area. The Siberian inkcap is a mushroom in the inkcap family. It's known to be edible, so keep an eye out for it. You'll find a fruit called... Eat food to Snake, be careful when you... When you get hurt, your body will heal itself naturally over time. Snake, I think there's a plant called... You'll find...
Those are some funky clothes you're wearing.
Yeah, it's called a sneaking suit.
Sneaking suit? What's that all about?
I'm not sure, but it looks like what the boss was wearing.
Huh. Well, whatever it is, it's a fine piece of work. The suit seems to be made of some kind of special bulletproof fiber. Wearing it should reduce all the damage you take by half. The waterproofing and heat and moisture insulation are top-notch. Just having it on will reduce the amount of stamina you burn. It even increases your overall camo index. You got yourself a keeper, Snake.
Yeah, maybe we should make it the official uniform of Fox.
Pattern clothing, face paint. Whenever you find a new weapon or...
Snake, your first task is to meet up with Adam, the... Snake?
Looks like death wasn't ready for you yet. That arm still hurt?
What are you doing here?
Go home. Go home. Gru and my sons are waiting up ahead. You don't have a prayer of finishing your mission. You're not even armed.
Boss!
I'm not your boss anymore. There's nothing for you here. Go home. Go back to your boss. There's no need to prove that you are virtuous here. This isn't America. That should stir things up a bit. You'd better hurry. The border is 60 miles south of here. You ought to be able to run that far.
Why'd you defect?
I didn't. I'm loyal to the end, to my purpose. What about you, Jack? What's it going to be? Loyalty to your country or loyalty to me? Your country or your old mentor? The mission or your beliefs? Your duty to your unit or your personal feelings? You don't know the truth yet. But sooner or later, you'll have to choose. I don't expect you to forgive me. But you can't defeat me either. You know me too well. Just look at that bandana. If you can't put the past behind you, you won't survive long. If we meet again, I'll kill you. Now, go home.
This is Snake. Major Zero.
I read you, Snake.
I was ambushed by the boss.
You were what?
The drone's been shot to hell. It's up in flames.
That's not good. Enemy scouts are going to come looking for you.
Yeah, I know. But what was the boss doing here in the first place? There's got to be a leak somewhere.
No, that's impossible. The man the boss is working with, Volgin, isn't exactly on speaking terms with Khrushchev.
I lost my gun. The boss destroyed it.
Snake, I know how you're feeling. It's hard for me to believe, too, that a legendary hero like the boss would go over to the Russians. That she'd double-cross us like this. But that's how it is, and if you don't accept it, you'll never be able to beat her.
That's not the problem. In terms of sheer technique, I'll never be able to beat her. I know that all too well.
You've got to do it, Snake. She's your enemy and your objective.
Enemy? We were together for 10 years, and now you tell me she's my enemy?
Enough. Hurry to the factory where Adam is waiting. Scouts have probably already been sent out to investigate the explosion. You've lost your weapon, right? That means you've got no chance of winning in a battle situation. Whatever you do, don't let them see you.
Raindrop was used by Germany during World War II. Even now, it's still used a lot in Eastern Europe. It's designed to be especially inconspicuous in the rain, so you'll get the most out of it if you put it on during a downpour. Whenever you find a new
That guy? I know he's close. What's this? HQ?
What's going on? Respond. There's something wrong. Support unit, confirm their status.
Snake, be careful when you...
Pretty tasty.
You can capture animals alive by... To take a rest... Snake, that area should be inhabited by tree frogs. The tree frog is a green frog that's found throughout Asia. It's arboreal, spending most of its time in shrubs and bushes. When you're bitten by a venomous animal... Snake, you will encounter Baltic hornet's nests in that area. Snake, whatever happens to you, make sure you leave a descendant, okay?
Are you saying you want to have my baby?
No. I'm saying that in the 21st century, the genes of soldiers like you are going to be in high demand.
Genes?
Uh-huh. Remember when Watson and Crick discovered the double helix structure of DNA back in 1953?
No.
You know, they won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for it the year before last. Of course, you have to feel sorry for Pauling and Franklin. They were researching the exact same thing.
Sorry, I don't follow.
Inside every living creature are little blueprints called genes. Through the union of the sperm and egg cells, these blueprints are transformed and inherited by the next generation. That's why parents and children resemble each other. The concept of genes was first proposed over 100 years ago by Mendel, but he didn't know what they were exactly. For a while, it was thought that chromosomes were composed not of deoxyribonucleic acid, but of proteins called polypeptides. Later, it was shown that deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, was a biological macromolecule. Then 11 years ago, Watson and Crick discovered that DNA had a double helix structure.
Yeah, this is all fascinating stuff, but what exactly does it have to do with me?
The inherent characteristics of any given individual are determined by his or her genes. By duplicating a set of superior genes, a separate body with the same set of characteristics, a clone, can be created.
But genes don't control a person's fate.
That's true, but having an offspring that's genetically identical to the parent is more efficient, right? You can expect better results that way.
More efficient? You can't mass-produce human beings.
Maybe, but now that we know the true nature of genes, human cloning is that much closer to reality. Nuclear transplanting is already theoretically possible, so one day...
My genes are going to be a valuable commodity.
Exactly.
They'd never let that happen.
Just think, even if your body dies, you survive and go on to bigger and better accomplishments. If you think about it, it's kind of an honor.
Does that kind of technology seriously appeal to you?
Well, I am a doctor. I can't condone it on moral grounds, but I'm fascinated by the possibilities. Especially when I see such an excellent specimen as yourself.
Yeah, well, thanks for the compliment, but it doesn't make me feel any better.
Don't be so glum. It's not like it's going to happen anytime soon. We'll just have to wait and see. You should be able...
I've never seen a grenade like that one before. There are two basic types of grenades. Fragmentation grenades, which use shrapnel to kill or maim the target, and explosive grenades, which use the blast from the explosion as the offensive means. But the grenade you've got there isn't either of those. My best guess is that it's meant to knock the enemy out without hurting them. Most likely it's an entirely new kind of weapon developed exclusively at Grozny Grad. I've heard that the SAS is working on a low-impact grenade for training purposes, but I never thought they'd be used in an actual battle. The flash of light that occurs when the grenade explodes is probably produced by magnesium. It's the same stuff that's used in camera flashes. I'm thinking they cut down on killing power by reducing the amount of explosives and made up for it by making the flash and bang so strong that it overwhelms the enemy's senses. I guess you could call it a stun grenade.
If I'm going to be stunned, I'd rather it be by a woman.
Snap out of it. Anyone around when that thing goes off will be laid out. It ought to come in handy when you're trying to storm a room or when you don't want to kill the enemy. Snow face paint was designed for use in Arctic operations. It's most effective against snowy backgrounds.
You've arrived at the factory, I see.
Yeah, now to meet up with this Adam guy.
Good. Go to it.
So where is he?
We weren't given an exact location.
How about a time?
Nothing was specified.
A physical description?
I'm not sure.
How am I supposed to find him then?
You won't need to.
Huh?
He'll find you. Why don't you try the room to the northeast where you met Sokolov? Adam might be in there. Adam is a spy sent by the KGB to infiltrate Volgin's ranks. You'll need to be extremely careful in how you approach him.
Obviously. He can't let Volgin know he's meeting me.
That's right. Adam won't show up if you're being pursued by the enemy. Before you go to rendezvous with Adam, make sure you haven't been seen by the enemy. Meet up with him in normal phase. Got it? Snake, this is a solo sneaking operation. There are no medics there to assist you. Snake, the food you catch will gradually spoil. Press the Snake, the fake death and revival pills we gave you are the latest in internal medicines.
Those are some funky clothes you're wearing.
Yeah.
Splitter is an indoor face paint. Painting your face with splitter should help you blend in better when you're infiltrating a building.
Adam won't show up if you're being pursued.
Active sonar sends out a special type of sound wave whenever you press the left stick. It uses the echo from those waves to calculate and display the position of nearby objects. Unlike the motion detector, it'll show you objects that aren't moving. But because you're blasting out sound waves, there's a risk that the noise will alert enemies and animals to your presence. Be careful about when and where you use it. Something wrong?
The Major told me the exact same thing.
You mean during the Virtuous mission?
Yeah.
He must have been reading those notes I gave him word for word. That guy doesn't know tech. So you've got your uniform and your face paint. The motion detector will display any moving objects in your vicinity. But the enemy isn't the only thing that's moving around in the jungle. If there are animals moving nearby, the sensor will pick up those animals too. And remember that there's a limit to how sensitive it is. Enemies and animals that don't move around very much won't get picked up. Did he tell you that too?
Yeah. Did you give him notes for it?
Yep. Using the anti-personnel sensor, I see. The sensor vibrates when it detects organic reactions from human targets. It's been adjusted to respond only to humans, so unlike other sensors, it'll let you ignore animals and focus only on the enemy. It'll even detect enemies that aren't moving, and you won't have to worry about it giving away your position. But on the flip side, it won't tell you the exact location of the target. Keep that in mind when you're using it. Also, remember that when you use it in first-person view, it'll only scan in the direction you're facing.
Yeah, I've heard that one too.
Did he use the exact same words?
Yeah.
Man, that guy still lives in the Stone Age. Just the other day, he bought this brand new washing machine and...
Sigurd?
Talk to you later, Snake. Those are some...
Sorry I'm late.
Cut the engine. They'll hear us.
Are you the agent they sent?
Are you Adam? I thought you were supposed to be a man.
Adam couldn't make it.
All right, say the password. Who are the Patriots? Who are the Patriots? Answer me! Trapped.
Get down! There is your answer. The name's Eva.
This wasn't part of the plan. What happened to Adam?
What's your code name?
It's Snake.
Snake, huh? Well, I'm Eva. Are you here to tempt me?
What happened to Adam?
Colonel Volgan is a very suspicious man. He decided Adam wasn't the right person for this mission.
And you were.
Yes,
Why?
because I can do things he can't.
I heard you used to be a codebreaker for the NSA.
I was. 4 years ago, I defected to the Soviet Union with Adam.
Mauser military. The broom handle.
It packs quite a punch. Nice to have when you're on a bike.
You held it sideways and used the muzzle jump to create a horizontal sweep. That was impressive.
Bet you've never seen that technique in the West.
It's imitation, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a Chinese Type 17 pistol. Around here, even that's hard to come by. Don't worry, though. The one I've got for you is American-made.
.45, huh? Incredible.
Do you like it?
The feeding ramp is polished to a mirror sheen. The slide's been reinforced, and the interlock with the frame is tightened for added precision. The sight system is original too. The thumb safety is extended to make it easier on the finger. A long type trigger with non-slip grooves. A ring hammer. The base of the trigger guard's been filed down for a higher grip. And not only that, nearly every part of this gun has been expertly crafted and customized. Where'd you get something like this?
I grabbed it from a Western munitions armory. It probably used to belong to one of your officers, and there are more where that came from. You had this with you, didn't you? Better take this too.
What's that?
A disguise to make you look like a scientist.
A disguise?
Yes. You're here to rescue Sokolov, right?
Sokolov's still safe then?
Yes. He's being forced to continue his work on the Shagohod.
Where?
At the lab. They've got a whole army of scientists there developing new weapons. Security is tight, but if you disguise yourself as a scientist, you might be able to sneak in.
Can we get Sokolov out of there?
We'll see, won't we?
Tell me how to get to the lab.
The safest way in is from the rear. First, you'll need to head north through the jungle. You'll come to a heliport used for shipping materials. Pass the heliport and continue north, and there will be a large crevice. Descend into that area, and you'll reach a cave. Move through the cave, and you will arrive at a mangrove swamp. After the swamp, there'll be a warehouse. Make your way through the warehouse, and you'll come out just south of the lab.
Got it.
And just what are you doing there?
In close-range combat, a knife can sometimes be more useful than a gun. By doing this, I'll be able to hold a knife at the same time and still keep the gun steady. That way, I can instantly switch between a gun battle and a knife fight. Right, let's get going.
Wait a minute.
What now?
You must be tired. Why don't you take a little rest?
I'll be fine.
You'll never make it in your condition. It's a jungle out there. There's still an hour before dawn. It's dangerous to be out in the jungle at night without a guide.
What about you?
I have to get back. I can't be gone for too long. They'll start to suspect something. Don't worry. I'll keep you updated over the radio.
That's it?
My orders are to provide you with information, nothing more. You look disappointed. All right, then. I'll do something special for you. I'll stand watch until dawn. Now be a good boy and lie down. What's the matter?
I don't know you well enough to trust you.
How well do you have to know me to trust me?
I don't know if I can trust anybody.
Gonna get that?
She's right, Snake. You should get some sleep. Although in your condition, you really ought to be back in the ICU. Whenever you save the game and quit, you'll go to sleep. Sleeping allows you to gain back stamina naturally. Depending on how long you sleep, you may also recover naturally from sickness and injury. When you're tired or hurt, the best thing to do is just get some sleep. So do yourself a favor and take a nap. Doctor's orders, okay?
Yeah, okay.
What's the matter?
We're surrounded. I see 4 of them.
We've got company. It's the Ocelot unit. Let's get out of here. Hurry! Don't forget your gear. Here, give me a hand. We can use this to get to the basement. Damn it! Ocelot! I'll get past them on my bike. I'll call you later.
Okay, I'll keep them busy. Huh?
Don't go dying on me now.
When you have a serious injury, like a gunshot wound or a burn, your maximum life will decrease.
It appears you've been completely surrounded.
Yeah, so I gathered.
If Eva is to escape from there...
Right. I'll have to take them all out.
Snake, you must defeat all the Ocelots. That's the only way to ensure Eva's safe escape, as well as your own. But you're up against a lot of them. Don't try to take them head on. Approach them without being seen and dispatch them one by one. And don't forget to use your camouflage.
Those rifles the Ocelots are using aren't AK-47s, are they?
No. They kind of look like AKMs, but they're different.
Different how?
They've got steel handguards and vertical type foregrips, and the muzzle suppressor is bigger.
A carbine version of the AKM, huh? Hungary has a unique modified version of the AKM called the AMD-63. I heard something before about them making a prototype carbine version of that. My guess is they probably imported some of those prototypes. If they're using a carbine version of the AMD-63 like I'm thinking, then they could be a serious threat. Those things handle better than the AK-47s, especially at close range. And don't forget, the Ocelots are elites. They're gonna be better shots than normal Spetsnaz, and you're that much more likely to get seriously hurt. Keep your eyes open.
First, enter the cave through the crevice. Eva said it was to the north, so head that way. First...
Treating serious...
The Mark 22 is a tranquilizer gun. You can use it to take enemies down without hurting them. The thing is, the amount of time it takes for the tranquilizer to work depends on which part of the body the dart hits. If you need to drop an enemy in one shot, aim for the head. The Mark 22 can also be equipped with a suppressor. With a suppressor equipped, you won't need to worry about anybody hearing the shot.
I've been waiting for this moment. That's it! That's the stance! I don't think so. What? A female spy? This bitch is wearing perfume. Stay where you are. I've had enough of your judo.
I see you've got yourself a single-action army.
That's right. There'll be no accidents this time.
You call that an accident? Well, it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't been showing off.
What did you say?
It's a nice gun, I'll give you that. But the engraving gives you no tactical advantage whatsoever. Unless you were planning to auction it off as a collector's item. And you're forgetting one more very basic thing. You don't have what it takes to kill me.
We'll see.
That thing only carries 6 shots. The Makarov carries 8. You have to get a feel for how many you have left. This is a high-class weapon. It's not meant for shooting people.
Damn! This isn't over yet.
Don't.
Why?
He's still young.
You'll regret stopping me. Damn it! I've got to get back before he does.
It looks like you've got rid of all the ocelots.
Yeah.
Now proceed with the rescue of Sokolov. According to Eva, you should start by going to the crevice to the north and...
Can we trust her?
What's that?
Eva is with the KGB, isn't she? Can I really believe what she says? How do I know she won't double-cross me?
There are no guarantees in espionage, Snake, only calculated guesses. At this point in time, the KGB stands nothing to gain by stabbing us in the back.
So you're saying I can trust her?
I'm saying the chance that she'll betray you is low. Of course, we checked the route she gave you against our own data. It looks like a pretty solid infiltration route. It makes good use of weak spots in the enemy's defenses. You shouldn't have any problems. Follow the route Eva showed you and proceed with the mission.
Roger.
First, enter the cave through the crevice. Eva said it was to the north, so head that way. First, enter the cave through the crevice. Eva said it was to the north, so head that way. Eva was right when she said that operating in an unknown jungle at night is extremely dangerous. In my former outfit, the SAS, we'd always be sure to set up camp before sunset and wait until daybreak before setting out again. Being able to stay in that abandoned factory made things a lot easier for you. You ought to be thanking Eva.
Major, what's this temptation Eva was talking about?
In the Old Testament of the Bible, Eve was seduced by a snake into tasting the fruit of knowledge. By eating the forbidden fruit, Adam and Eve disobeyed God's command and were cast out from the Garden of Eden. Thus, it was the snake who led mankind into original sin.
Come to think of it, I did break a rib in the Virtuous mission. Maybe that's where Eva came from.
But the one who tempted Adam into eating the forbidden fruit was Eve. You may be working together, but she's still a KGB operative. Don't let your guard down.
I don't intend to.
Snake, your number one priority in this mission is rescuing Sokolov. Eva said he is in the lab, so head over there.
Right.
Do you remember how to get to the lab?
You mean what Eva told me?
Yes.
Of course I do.
All right, repeat it for me.
Major, do you think I'd forget something like that?
Let's hear it then.
First I head north.
Hmm?
And then I'll come to a crevice.
And then?
And then...
All right, let's go over this one more time. First, head north through the jungle. Enter the cave through the crevice to the north. Follow the cave to the end and you'll come out in an aqueduct surrounded by mangrove. Follow the aqueduct to the north and you should arrive at a warehouse. Climb out of the water and enter the warehouse. After you've infiltrated the warehouse, pass through it to the north. Then you'll emerge in the woods again. The lab will be directly to the north. Are we clear now?
Yeah.
Snake.
I got it. Basically, I just head north, right?
Snake, I heard you got a scientist disguise from Eva.
Yeah.
Go to uniform on the camouflage screen and choose scientist to disguise yourself as a scientist.
Scientist, huh?
But it won't do you any good to go around the jungle wearing a scientist disguise.
No one would be that stupid.
You're right. No one would think of going around the jungle in a scientist disguise. If they did, they'd have to be a fool. No, more than a fool. A complete dumbass. Don't you think so, Snake?
Yeah.
Thermal goggles create a thermal image based on the heat emitted by objects in view. With the thermal goggles equipped, you'll be able to quickly spot enemies hidden deep within the jungle. Also, you can locate plants, animals, and traps. When you creep inside a small space, the overhead view switches to the intrusion view. Move the right stick with the...
Hey, Snake, remember back at the abandoned factory when you whittled the grip of that 45 down?
Yeah.
I've never heard of a customization like that before. Why the grip?
To fit it with a knife.
A knife? You're gonna keep the knife and the gun both at the ready?
That's the idea.
Why would you want to do that?
Sometimes a knife works better in close proximity encounters. So I equip both at the same time. That way I can switch back and forth in an instant.
Badass. So that's that.
CQC.
Snake, are you there?
Eva,
Did you miss me?
did you make it without any trouble?
No one saw me.
So you're back with Vulcan.
In a matter of speaking.
What about the boss?
Yeah, she's here too.
Better be careful.
Thanks, I will. The boss and I get along pretty well, though. I guess we traitors have a lot in common.
Why would anyone want to defect? Betraying your country like that, I just don't get it.
Are you talking about the boss?
Why do you do it? Weren't you born and raised in America?
Yes, in a small rural town. I never even knew there were other countries, other cultures, other ways of thinking, until I went to work for the NSA. And one day, I'd found I'd lost faith in the things I'd been taking for granted.
What did you see? What was it that made you want to change sides?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Try me.
I saw the universe.
The universe?
Not the actual universe. The universe as the intelligence community sees it. I realized that the gravity in this universe was holding me back. That's all. People and countries are both changed by their environment and by the times.
That sounds like what the boss was saying.
There's a world of difference between this country and America, but it's only a difference of position, a difference of perspective. Coming here made me realize something. Half of what I'd been told was a complete and utter lie. The other half was a conveniently constructed lie.
Where's the truth, then?
It's hidden in the lies.
Are you lying, too?
Who knows? I've been trained to make even the most severe falsehood sound like the honest truth. Weren't you?
No. I believe because I have to, even if it is a lie. That's part of my mission.
I'll have to remember that. If you need me, give me a call on the radio. My frequency is 142.52. See ya.